Hello everyone, Nick here. This is my first viewing reaction to Doctor Who Flux, or Series 13, or Season 39, Episode 3, or Chapter 3, Once Upon Time, not to be confused with the Peter Capaldi Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time, his regeneration story, which, this is better than this. This is way better than this. Sorry, this is way better than that. Thank Christ. This episode is way better than Twice Upon a Time. But yeah, I don't think the title actually fits in this title, because Once Upon Time, yeah, we kind of do go back into time streams of the characters, but we are following like five actually, different stories, and I'll get back round to that. At time of recording this, it's Monday the 15th of November 2021. I actually didn't get to see it yesterday at the time of its broadcast. Well, I can't see it time of broadcast because I'm working every bloody Sunday night. But I usually catch up later on, but I was with some doing a thing on with some friends on a Zoom call yesterday, and the same will probably happen for episode 5 as well, so I had to catch up today. But yeah, so I'm recording this shortly about 50 odd minutes after watching it. It's because I had to change my bed as well. Around 50 odd minutes afterwards, and my reaction is, Chris Chibnall, I thought you kind of learnt your mistakes. I mean, episode 1 does kind of feel like it is a bit of a Chibnall episode, but the fact that it's the start of a 6-part story as opposed to a 1 or 2-parter, then I'm gonna have some faith, and it was, I actually liked it. I thought it was a pretty good setup. It was a very setty up episode, but I think it could have had some improvements, but it was still pretty good. FYI, I have reviewed it. I just haven't uploaded it yet. It's done. It's ready to go. I just haven't put it up yet. So that'll be the next Doctor Who video, unless there's going to be some big news that I have to react to later in the week. But I think that's going to be happening next week, maybe. Well, that's my theory. Next week, we'll get some news about something, because it'll be the 58th anniversary on the Tuesday 23rd. Also, there's Children Need coming up later this week. Don't know if we're doing anything, or Doctor Who's doing anything for that, but if there's something, that'd be nice. So yeah, unless it's something to do with Children Need or other big news and announcements, the next Doctor Who video on this channel should be the Halloween Apocalypse review, and I have recorded the War of the Sontarans one that needs to be edited next. Other reviews of other things still have to be done, including this episode after a rewatch. But yeah, things are progressing a bit slowly because I've got to work so much, and I've got other stuff to do as well in the meantime. Like I actually want to get back into making bloody Earth agents later in the week, and I've been helping out with Ollie Pajak's 50 Slices of Bonding. I've got a really shitty, tight schedule. Not even tight. It's not enough time for everything, and so forgive me if there's reviews that they're going to take some bloody time, because there's not enough time anymore. Last year I had the opposite problem. There was too much time, so much that I kind of lost it. I think too much time and not enough time have made me lose a bit of enthusiasm for making edited videos. And yeah, so I'm kind of struggling to just keep up. But I will get them done as best as I can. Anyway, sorry about that little tangent. Reacting to the episode. But yes, Halloween Apocalypse review should be the next Doctor Who video up, unless there's some major announcement I have to react to. And War of the Sontarans shouldn't be too far behind. It's a little bit shorter, so it shouldn't take as long. But yeah, we'll see. A shorter review, I mean. So the episode is actually an hour somehow, and these other two have been 50 minutes. Speaking of War of the Sontarans, I thought that was a very a breath of fresh air from the series. It was much needed, a more slower paced episode. Heck, on rewatching the episode for the review, I didn't even have to pay too much attention to it. It was nice, it was easy, it was breezy. It wasn't too complicated. It was fine, at least on a rewatch anyway. But this episode, I think attention is going to be needed to pay attention to on the rewatch, because this is a convoluted, messy, and just all over the place episode. I'm not going to say it's outright terrible, like Time of Children. Take out controversial change to the continuity and how it affects the Doctor as a character to a side, although many people can't seem to get over that in the first place, so I think that's a big ask on them. By this point, by the way, I think the fan base has just killed my my opinion of the Times Children. I think I've kind of just stopped caring that it's a change to the continuity and the fact that it changes the Doctor's character because of the fan reaction. I think the fan reaction has just made me stop caring about how the continuity has been altered and that the Doctor's character has been altered. I don't fucking care anymore because of your reaction. And yeah, I'm still interested in finding out what's going on. And I think the story was still kind of badly handled and how it set up the arc. But in terms of the whole change of continuity, chain retcon, whatever, I don't care anymore because the fans overblew the fan reaction was overblown and maybe too overblown in my opinion. I think fair enough if it's your opinion, but I think because it was so overblown, I've stopped caring. Also, the fact it's been 20 bloody months since then, almost, and Time Lord Victorious and other stuff have come out since then to put our minds to focus elsewhere. So yeah, I kind of just I don't care about is it changing canon or anything. I don't care. Just give us some fucking answers by now. And I just want that, and we'll hopefully get that later on. But we do get some things here later, but I'll get back to that. But I'm kind of all over the place with this reaction. See, Chris Chibnall's not the only one who can procrastinate. Stephen Moffat could do it as well. But yeah, I thought Water Sontarans was a breath of fresh air from crowded stories like Timeless Children, Fugitive of the Jadoon, and quite a lot of Series 12, actually. It was much needed. I thought Halloween Apocalypse wasn't as bad as some of those ones, but it did feel like there was a lot going on in those. But again, as I said, I could forgive it because it was part one of a six-parter. It could have gone a bit better, but as it was, I thought it was good. Episode 3 suffers from the same problems, but on a massive scale. And after the breath of fresh air that was episode 2, episode 3 just I don't know what happened. I really don't know. Actually, no, I do know what happened. Chris Chibnall wanted to tell 5 stories at once, and he had to do it before the Weeping Angel story came along. So the Doctor has to go into this kind of the time stream just to save Yaz and Vinda, as we saw in the cliffhanger of the last episode. She has to jump towards some time stuff, them and her and Dan, and they all split up into their different time streams, and they don't know if they're experiencing their past, present, or future, and stuff keeps happening. Dan, for instance, he keeps going in and out of different time periods, from Liverpool in his present day, hanging out with Diane, to meeting Joseph Williamson, shooting at something we don't actually see. I actually thought it was going to be the Sidemen, but they actually turn up in another pair of scenes. So another unseen villain is going to be making their appearance, and the Williamson stuff. I'm getting kind of fed up with Joseph Williamson just popping up in the series, doing feck all at this point. This is 3 episodes in, and I don't think he's going to be a main focus of the next episode either. I think he'll be the main focus on either episode 5 or 6. And I really, really do hope we don't have to have just him popping up every single episode. His first appearance in episode 1, okay, I wasn't so keen on how it was handled, but at least it could make sense later if he appeared in a larger role. But episodes 2 and 3, he had smaller appearances, and they just felt like, oh yeah, this guy's still in the series, but we're not going to talk much about him later, and until later, which I'm finding a bit frustrating. We're 3 episodes in, get to this guy already, or don't feature him in the next episode. Because it's not worth it. Meanwhile, Yaz kind of is back at doing her police stuff. Oh, I guess I was wrong when I think in my review of Halloween Apocalypse, when it does come out, I say, guess we're not going to see Yaz doing her police stuff again because she says she was formerly part of the Sheffield Police, etc. So I guess I was wrong about that. So when that review comes out, you guys can all think to yourself, oh, he admitted he was wrong when episode 3 came out. To be fair, when that was recorded before episode 2 aired, It was recorded back on the 5th, so 10 days ago. Sorry it's taken so long. Again, time. But yeah, so I can now say future me, past me was wrong, because we do get a bit of it, albeit just briefly, in a scene in the car which features the Weeping Angels as well. The Weeping Angels seem to be targeting Yaz all of a sudden. They got Claire from in episode 1. She's going to be popping up next week, according to the next time trailer. And they're the Weeping Angels now. Amy and Rory have gone. The new target is Yasmin Khan, and also the whole class angel with civil war thing never happened on screen, so they're going to do something with them. They've got something to pass the time, because no more Amy and Rory and no angel civil war. Let's go after Yasmin Khan, because I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out next week what the Weeping Angels are doing. They've also somehow infiltrated the time stream. I'm sure we'll find out what's going on with the Weeping Angels next week with Village of the Angels. Vinder is the character I was most interested to find out information about, and I liked learning about what happened with him and what was going on, and his being posted to this dodgy guy, and then having to be reassigned when he reported the dodgy guy for attempting to have some asking for some people to be killed as part of some conditions. And yeah, it was some interesting stuff with Vinder. I want to see how his character affects the other characters later down the line, or if he's just going to be a more notable supporting character in the series. And I don't mind that. It's just that they made such a big fuss about Jacob Anderson at the Comic-Con panel, and that he's appeared quite a bit in the 3 episodes so far, especially this one. So unless he's got some sort of major important role later on, he's probably just going to be a more notable main character, or major character, or major supporting character at least. And that actually brings me on to a extra story of what's going on. I'll get back to the Doctors in a bit. But what the biggest issue I had with this one of the biggest issues I had with this episode is that Chris Chibnall just started focusing on this other character. At the end of the episode, we do find out that she was Vinder's girlfriend, fiance, wife, and she's carrying his child, but unborn child, and she's trying to survive in the aftermath of the Flux in order to try and find him. She escapes the Daleks. Oh yeah, Daleks make a welcome cameo. Unfortunately, there's some really dodgy CGI. My mum didn't care when we were watching episodes. She was like, "Yes, Daleks!" Even though this is literally 3 episodes after the last Dalek episode. But the CGI on the Daleks. Confused Adipose was right. I watched his video before this, doing this. Confused Adipose was right. Those Dalek CG effects, some fan films have done CGI Daleks better than these. I think I was going to say I think Confused Adipose did, but no, he did. He had prop Daleks. But yeah, there have been CGI Daleks in fan productions and animated Dalek stuff that have looked a lot better. They've looked much better. I do think there was one Dalek prop that was used, and it was at the very end of the scene. There was one actual proper Dalek prop did wear itself past one of the stone castles that I think it was Belle, Vinder's girlfriend, whatever. I think there was one Dalek prop that actually did make it on screen at the very end of that scene, but you can't. It's a bit of a distance away, so you can't really tell that well. I think on a rewatch, I might be able to tell if it was a proper Dalek prop or if it was another slightly better rendered CGI'd one. But the one where there's a couple of them going past, they are the CGI ones. And look, I get it. Chris Chibnall, production team, you don't want the Daleks' surprise cameo to be ruined. You don't want leaks. That a lot of leaks and stuff have been happening over the last year or so. You don't want the Dalek cameo to be spoiled, or the next Dalek story, because there has been rumours that there will be another Dalek story, or at the very least, a Dalek prop scene on location in Cardiff. And it probably wasn't for this episode because it would have been in a forest. So, unless it was being brought back to the offices. Maybe it was for this episode then. Maybe it was that one I think we did see. In that case, why didn't they just use that for the whole scene? No, it must have been used. It must be used for another episode. I'm hoping for a New Year episode, but or the centenary one coming up. But yeah, I get it. You want to be secretive. You want to keep all of this a surprise, but you risk having a weaker product by just having CG Daleks. Not even that well rendered. Just use the props. Even if you have to, even if they don't work in a foresty ground, you can just use some sort of weedy thing to wheel them around. Just take that out in post or shoot above that section. Just use practicals. It looks better. It looks so much better. Even on rougher terrain, it would look better. And yeah, it looks so the CG just looks so hokey. The CG for resolution when they used it for that because they didn't want to spoil the Dalek's appearance there. Yeah, that actually looked like that was good CG on the Dalek prop they used there, and then that was also radio remote controlled prop as well. So you didn't even have, if you did something similar with these props, you wouldn't even have to worry about having too many actors in it. But the Daleks' appearance was nice, but the execution wasn't. Apart from maybe one at the very end that might have used an actual prop, but the CGI looked pretty poor. I don't know how it happened. Why didn't they just use a prop? I get the secrecy stuff, but no, Hush Hush is worth shit CGI, basically. And whilst we're here, other monsters, the Cybermen are mostly used in Bell's story, and I think what I was trying to say about I've realised. Oh fucking you do know. Excuse me, it's dust everywhere. Sorry, I keep going all over the place. I'm supposed to be talking about Belle. I think it's her name, Belle, and I just moved on to Daleks and now Cybermen. Okay, back. I'll do Cybermen quickly. Again, good appearance, welcome appearance, and there was a cool scene where Belle shot them. Yeah, it's a bit strange that she used 2 pistols, one at the end, to shoot down just a couple Cybermen, not 20 like Farry's thought in his video. I also watched that, but I thought it was like 10 at most. But a couple Cybermen, and she was able to shoot all of them with just 2 pistols, 1 pistol at the very end. But it was a pretty cool sequence, and there was a good moment where she talked to one of the Cybermen to get some information. And I think Chibnall has gotten the Cybermen down with this scene, and I think they're reflecting the Cybermen much better with them trying to upgrade the universe rather than just delete all organic life. They want to upgrade all organic life. So I think Chibnall's gotten the Cybermen right this time. I think he did good with them last year, but the whole stuff about them wanting to become robots and removing all organic components wasn't a good angle to go down. This angle, we're going back to what the Cybermen were like, albeit only for a few scenes, and it works well for them. So I think Chris Chibnall has got the Cybermen, and yeah, that continues his streak of doing classic and past monsters really well. Now we just have to apply it to his own ones. Right. As for Belle, one of my biggest issues with the story is that we just jump in with Belle, and she's got her own plot, and then at the end it's revealed she's somehow involved with Vinda or something, and yeah, throughout the episode we're just following her and like, who's this character? What's going on? I think the revelation could have been a bit more sweeter if we actually cared a bit more about this character. Maybe if we knew more about her, or if she didn't take up a fifth of the episode. About a fifth of the episode is taken up by her, and it just feels like we're being thrown into this. I will give Chris Chibnall credit. He actually did explain who the character was by the end, but when I was watching the character, I was thinking, oh god, it's another Brendan type of story again. We're just cutting to this random other character for these random scenes taking place. Although thankfully this character does have more importance on the main plot going forward, and we found out a bit more about her, and we might find out more about her later on by the end, and we might find out more about her later on in the story, possibly, as opposed to Brendan, who, and I won't say, like ignoring Timeless Children for a moment. I know a lot of people would want that. But as for essentially the Sidemen, the scenes just felt so out of place and so intercut. It didn't work. And when they were explained in Timeless Children, it still didn't make any sense. In fact, it made even less sense. So thank goodness, whilst I thought it might be a Brendan situation, and again this time round, but thankfully it's not quite the case. I just hope the character doesn't end up taking over too much of the next couple of episodes outside of meeting up with Vinda and the Team TARDIS, and having some sort of role in the last 3 episodes, or last 2 episodes if we skip next week, because next week has to be Weeping Angel focused. Maybe like last week, a little bit of tie-in with the main story arc, but mostly focusing on the Weeping Angels and what they're up to, like with the Sontaran stuff in the Crimea and in Liverpool last week, with a little bit of tie-in to the main plot with the temple stuff. And now for the Doctor's story, because I haven't got to her yet. Right, whilst it was great to see Jo Martin and the Fugitive Doctor back, and it was interesting to see the 13th Doctor take on a more sterner position when recreating that story, and that memory. And then when she knows she can find out more memories about this, she gets more cross and desperate, and tries to go after the memories, which I think now Jodie Whittaker is now topped. I would say War of the Sontarans is the best episode for the 13th Doctor, and not the best episode in her ear, but for the character, it's the best one of showing the character at her best and the best performance of Jodie Whittaker. But as an individual performance, the ending of this one, or towards the end, she does show off what could be her best performance, as she's getting desperate and trying to she wants to get her more memories about what's going on. She wants answers. Fugitive of the Jadoon, she left without getting any answers. Now she wants answers, and they're not being given to her. And so I thought that was some good stuff there. But what is frustrating is that it's still getting very more teasery. Like there's stuff we want answered, but we're getting more questions in the meantime. I think we do find out what happened to Swarm and how he got imprisoned, and his sister got sent to that shack in the Arctic Circle. I think we kind of saw what happened there, or at least the preludes to that anyway, with them being captured, and then whatever the sentence or whatever they get will be handed out. Maybe it will be seen in a later episode, maybe. But and that will all tie in together with episode 1. But it's still there's still more questions being presented and not enough answers are being presented here with this episode. And I think the Doctor's angle story represents that quite a bit, especially since it's like, oh, I want to know more, and we don't get more. Instead, we get this random other woman, where this other white-haired woman who's very mysterious and just talks mysteriously about how the Flux is a spatial event, time is breaking down, and whilst the Mori were damaged and stuff, there was enough temporal disturbance to alter time and damage time, and the Flux has made it all go even more a bit wrong, which is why the Sontarans were able to invade the Crimea, by the way. Sort of. When they did invade the Crimea, they were able to change time. But yeah, it's getting more complicated. This story is starting to get more and more complicated. Last week, as I mentioned, was a break from the complicity and just told a simple story, or stories, in its hour-long runtime. But in this episode's 50 minutes, it's not bad. It's just a mess. And I feel like it could go the same way as Ascension of the Cybermen and Future of the Jadoon and Spyfall Part 2. Not so much Part 1. And at worst, it would be like Timeless Children, where it's just too much going on. Things are gonna turn out poorly, and that's not even discussing the continuity change or the character change. No, just the actual presentation, and actually what's going on, and so much stuff is going on. That just made the episode pretty weak, even without knowing what actually did happen. And I feel like this episode came close to that, but it managed to have some fun and engagement to at least keep it in watchable. It's a bit like Can You Hear Me? It's like you've got all this stuff going on, and we follow all these different characters. I think they do extend the character stuff more than Can You Hear Me? But yeah, it does feel like it's like that story. You've got all these characters going off and doing their own things, but it's all a bit of a jumbled mess as opposed to last week's episode, which was more structured. And I really hope we get something more like that next week with Village of the Angels, which is going to be co-written by Maxine Alderton, who wrote the best episode of Series 12, The Haunting of Villa Diodati. And considering that episode tied in with the series finale, she has experience co-writing stuff with Chibnall to do with overarching stories. So hopefully she's going to be able to help co-write the Weeping Angel story. I don't know if they'll wrap up that angle, the Weeping Angels part in the Flux, or if it's. I don't think the Sontarans are going to come back this series. I think they were mentioned in this episode having their own sector. Maybe they will pop up at the end, but maybe the Weeping Angels will pop up at the end. But next week will be the focus episode on them. They're going to go to the village and they're going to try and see what they want and what's going on. And I really hope Maxine Alderton and Christian Thor are able to pull that episode out of the bag and do a spectacular episode like they did last series with Haunting of Villa Diodati, and also with Water Sontarans earlier this last week. Yeah, Water Sontarans last week, because this episode is a clusterfuck. It's not as bad as some of the clusterfucks from the last series, but actually no, scratch that. It's around the same point. It's around a similar level as last series' clusterfucks, minus one or two better or worse ones. But yeah, I've got some slight worries for this series. If we have another one of these, oh dear, maybe that's something special. Maybe we won't be in for a treat, as I was saying. We could be in for a treat, or we could be in for something special if the series continues to be great, like episode 1 or episode 2, especially episode 2. But now episode 3, I'm kind of worried that it's going to kind of fall. And considering episode 1 was all that setup as well, we might fall flat at the end. Episode 4 could be the saving grace. I don't know about 5 or 6. We'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, episode 3, Once Upon Time, is a mess. It's fun. It's got some good stuff into it, but overall, it is a mess. As messy as quite a few episodes from Series 12 ended up being. And I really didn't want it to be. I wanted this to just be a fun episode where the Doctor and company, they escaped whatever Swarm's click of the finger to zap Yaz and Vinder. They escaped that and they infiltrated this place that was falling apart or something, and the people were under threat, and maybe there was some Cyberman and Angel stuff going on. And it just turned into a big mess. I just hope it pulls off well. But we're halfway through the series, and I think we've got more questions than answers, especially now that the Flux is now apparently caused by the Doctor or something. I don't know whether that's because she's gone looking for the Division, or maybe the Masters destroyed Gallifrey, so Swarm's been able to escape and he's caused the Flux or something. Yeah. And I don't think many of these will be answered next week because it's the Angel episode, and I hope that it focuses on the Angels this time. And then 5 and 6, then you've got your 2 episodes to wrap this up and wrap it up hard. We do have 3 more episodes after that, but even still, I think all the Flux stuff has to be finished by at latest New Year's Day, the New Year's special. I think it should be finished by the end of the series, at latest New Year's Day, and then the whole Chibnall era arcs by the Centenary special. We don't want to do a Moffat and leave some stuff hanging until the last minute. And if it has to be the last minute, then we don't want it to be rushed again. I think that's why he toned it down a bit for the Capaldi era, because so that what happened during the Smith era wouldn't be repeated. And then again, the hybrid arc is easily the weakest of the series arcs, even weaker than the Timeless Child arc. The hybrid arc is the weakest. So then again, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Right. Right. I'm not going to talk too much more about this story because it's about half a bloody hour into this reaction, and this should be the length of the review, not the reaction. The reaction should be like 10 to 20 minutes. But there was quite a bit to talk about in this episode, and I have my tangents as well. I will do a proper review of the episode later in the week, or next week, depending when it comes out. And definitely have to try and get the episode 4 review out within the week of episode 4 to 5 broadcast, because I have to have that one out on the Universals. So I'll leave a link video on this channel, by the way. But yeah, just to say, this one, I think this is easily the weakest episode of the series out of the first 3. And I think there could have been some structural improvements. But it's not terrible. It's okay. I think I would agree with Mario Browser 94 and the Confused Adipose with a 7 out of 10 score at the moment. However, this could change. And if it does, it's more likely to go down as opposed to up, unlike War of the Sontarans, where, spoiler alert for the review, I almost gave it a 10, but I didn't quite feel like it was 10 worthy, so I passed it at 9. And Halloween Apocalypse, similarly, I thought 9 at the time, but could have gone down to 8 on a rewatch, but I liked it enough to keep it at 9. This one, I think 7 is going to stay as it is, but it might go down to 6. I don't think it'll go up to 8. So it's probably going to be a 7 in the review, which is a shame. I wanted to get a 10 out of 10 for this series, not a 7 or lower. You can't have everything, but I really hope we get at least one 10 out of 10 episode this series. Hopefully that'll be next week with the Angels and Maxine Alderson. Until then, thank you so much, and whatever comes up next. Thank you for watching this reaction to Doctor Who Flux Chapter 3, Once Upon a Time. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.